If you had a Sega CD, I'm betting that this logo looks extremely familiar to you.
Game creative staff, Wolf Team.
Wolf Team was a Japanese development team owned by a company called Telenet. We knew of Telenet here in the US as Renovation Products, and they released some really excellent games on the Sega Genesis in the middle of its lifespan. Games like Valis and most notably Gyres, which is probably the best shooter on the system. But I'd say that Wolf Team was responsible for a number of Telenet's most well-known games. I admit, they weren't quite on my radar until I got my beloved Sega CD. The add-on came with a pile of pack-in games, but the one I latched onto most was this decent side-scrolling shooter called Sulfise. During the first year of the Sega CD's life, Wolf Team would port several of these kind of QTE-inspired arcade laserdisc games. Games I'd never even heard of. In this episode, that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. The full-motion video games of game creative staff, Wolf Team. Cobra Command was the first Laserdisc port that Wolf Team took on. The original version was released in 1984 by Data East. You know, a bad dude's fame.
I'm bad!
In it, you find yourself as the pilot of a top-secret, high-powered attack helicopter called the LX-3FX, and you're out to stop a terrorist organization causing havoc around the world. That means it's time to use your brand new technology and blow some stuff up. Cobra Command was the game that my friends and I were looking forward to in this Sega CD launch window. We needed something to justify our purchase. When my friends and I first saw it in the magazine, we thought it was going to be a completely free-roaming game. What a bunch of idiots. FMV stands for Full Motion Video. These kind of games are generally known as the predecessor to the modern-day QTE. The games play out as a sort of movie, but as the action takes place, you're given any number of button or directional prompts that you have to input as quickly as possible. If you're too slow or mess up, you're going to have to do it all over again. It's actually pretty dumb. Cobra Command takes things about a half step further in that you get a bit more control. You have to move this little crosshair around the screen and shoot enemies instead of just hitting a single button. Your high-powered super helicopter is equipped with a Vulcan machine gun and unlimited missiles. Honestly, I didn't see a reason to use the machine guns at all. The enemies take more hits to die from it, and it's not like you can just lay on the trigger. The gun will overheat if you fire it for too long. Missiles, on the other hand, you can just keep jamming on the button if you want, and you'll have no problem. Occasionally, you'll have to make some quick maneuvers, but it doesn't happen all that often. You're going to be shooting down terrorists in a number of scenarios, like flying in between buildings of downtown New York City, wrecking the remains of an ancient civilization on Easter Island, and even inside this giant cave. How the heck are these helicopters even fitting, much less flying around with reckless abandon inside these caverns? You'd have to be insane to fly inside this. The animation is alright. It's fairly choppy, and definitely suffers from the Sega CD's inherited limitation of only being able to display 64 colors at once. It's the dark scenes that suffer the most, with lots of detail being lost. But it doesn't really look all that bad. It certainly had a lot more style than a lot of the live action games that were getting most of the attention at the time. Wolf Team followed up with another Data East FMV port of a game called Road Blaster FX. But here in the US, Atari already released a game called Road Blasters. So we'd come to know of this game as Road Avenger. On their wedding day, a couple is terrorized and run off the road by this gang that looks like something out of a Mad Max movie. The widower is unsurprisingly pissed, and seeks out revenge using his enhanced sports car to kill them one by one. It's honestly a pretty great setup. Everything you need to know about the game is told during the opening cinema, which is set to probably my favorite game theme song of all time. Seriously, it is so good. The controls have been pared down significantly compared to Cobra Command, but it doesn't hurt the game at all. In fact, I think it makes it a lot better. All you need to worry about this time is turning left or right, hitting the brakes, or gunning it with your turbo boosters. Streamlined for maximum enjoyment. I'm not afraid to say it. Road Avenger is, in my opinion, the best full-motion video game on the Sega CD. Maybe even ever. Everything comes together perfectly to create the ultimate string of over-the-top scenarios. The game is full of crazy things like this. Driving around in the sewers, through the countryside, no matter where our hero goes, he is sure to leave a trail of destruction behind him. One of my favorite parts is when you chase your target through the streets and into a hotel lobby. There's this quick cut of the concierge who is just horrified at what's happening. I know our hero is pissed, but you have to wonder, in all his rage, how many innocents were left dead in his wake. The animation is way smoother and nicer looking than Cobra Command. It's apparent the Wolf Team used and improved everything that they learned, which is impressive because Road Avenger is just so much more out of control stylistically. It still retains that overall graininess, but everything moves so fast that you don't really have a lot of time to notice it. I just love Road Avenger so much. I rented it several times just so I could replay it and watch the intro. Imagine how excited I was when I saw that they were going to bring out another full-motion video game just a short while later. Taito's Time Gal, which was decidedly less of a perfect follow-up. In the year 4001, some guy named Luda has stolen a time-traveling device and is going through billions of years changing history. Our titular hero follows, trying to catch him, but it seems like she could just be making things a lot worse for everyone. Using laser guns on ancient Romans? Probably not the best idea. Time Gal warps into a variety of scenarios befitting of each time period and immediately gets into trouble. From the wings of a fighter jet in 1941 to the future moon base in the distant year of 2010. Hey, where's our moon base? That was 4 years ago. The first thing I quickly realized about Time Gal, it's way harder than the previous two games. Your command input window is so much shorter. I had a really hard time keeping up or just being quick enough, even on easy. Making things even tougher is that every stage can either be normal or mirrored, meaning that you're never going to be playing the same game every time you play it. Now, this could certainly be seen as an improvement to the genre. I found that the mirroring caused me even less of a chance to appreciate the actual events of the level. At certain points, time will stop, allowing you to choose from solutions for your current predicament. This seems like it would be a cool way to fuse in some branching paths, but no such luck. There's only one solution and the others just kill you. Time Gal's graphics are quite a bit of a jump over the previous two games. It doesn't seem to have the problem with the video dithering that the previous two games suffer from. It's almost like they went back and redrew every single frame of animation, making it so much more crisp looking. It's almost like it's not video at all, just regular old animation. Pretty neat. A special recognition to Time Gal's voice. She always has an innocent little quip for the bad guys that I can appreciate. And I love how excited she gets during the Temple of Doom inspired minecart chase. For the longest time, I thought Time Gal was the last of Wolf Team's FMV games. But it wasn't until recently I discovered that there was one more. A final, fourth FMV game called Revenge the Ninja that I'd never even known about.
Revenge of the Ninja.
Known as Ninja Hayate in Japan, Revenge of the Ninja was originally developed by Taito. You control the bumbling ninja, Hayate, as he infiltrates a castle full of demons to rescue a princess. He'll take on all kinds of accursed beings from samurai skeletons to giant dinosaur robots. Hayate is fairly accident-prone, so the game plays up that angle quite a bit. Kinda like Dirk the Daring and the Dragon's Lair games, that this is clearly inspired by. You kinda get the feeling that Wolf Team was a bit sick of doing these at this point, since Revenge of the Ninja is by far the worst of all 4 of these games that I've mentioned. The dithering on the videos in this one is so far beyond anything else they've done. It looks absolutely awful. And not to mention the game is totally easy. I even finished it on my first playthrough. Stages range from extremely short to fairly long, and there's about 20 of them, so it accumulates to a fairly decent sized adventure. But regardless, there's a reason why this game is the lesser known of the bunch. It doesn't really have much going for it.
Let's get out of here!
My hero.
Hey, I did it!
Whether or not you've heard of Wolf Team, there's a good chance you're at least a little familiar with their games. If not in their past form, you might be more familiar with their newer games. In 1995, the remaining staff at Wolf Team would go on to create the Tales series, which has become such a staple for Namco and RPG fans today. So go on, check out some of their games, you might be surprised at what you find.